Here, $1.
Oh, wait's okay.
What's up, guys? Spenny. It's all just one big club, and you ain't in it. I don't want to be in this club. But it's a club that's been talked about by, let's say, some of the most powerful women in all of American politics, like John McCain's wife, describing Jeffrey Epstein as someone that everyone in politics knew about. We all knew what he was doing. We loved it. Nobody would stop it.
It hides in plain sight.
We
Epstein was hiding in plain sight. We all knew about him. We all knew what he was doing. But we had no one that was, legal aspect that would go after him. They were afraid of him. For whatever reason, they were afraid of him.
I wonder, why were they afraid of him? Could be because the politicians liked what they saw when they were with Jeffrey Epstein, especially on private jets.
Very fortunate that President Clinton introduced me a lot of business leaders in London because he knew I was coming to the old vic. Do you know who I never asked for anything? Was Jeffrey Epstein. I didn't want to be around this guy because I felt he put the president at risk on that trip to South Africa because there were these young girls. And we were like, who is this guy? So I will say this.
There were young girls on those flights.
There were young girls on those flights, yeah.
There were young girls on the flight, says Kevin Spacey, Oscar winner, Hollywood legend, who traveled the world with Bill Clinton on Jeffrey Epstein's plane, along with a bunch of other A-list celebrities. What was happening on those flights, and in those mansions, and on those islands, and in those ranches, and in those New York mansions? Well, now we're actually starting to see, for the first time ever, a glimpse inside of the secretive mansion that was the chief architectural location for Jeffrey Epstein to spawn his pederast network. We actually have the photos for the first time ever from the inside, and you're going to be shocked, actually, what happens next. I just want to establish something that has been made true today. Virginia Roberts, who was the chief whistleblower about Jeffrey Epstein and his predator and pederast network, somebody who worked for Jeffrey Epstein for a long time. She also worked for Donald Trump. She said she never saw Donald Trump do anything wrong. And she said he was nothing but a gentleman to me. Jeffrey Epstein recruited and entrapped Virginia Roberts, actually away from Trump, interestingly, and then traveled the world with her and used her for services to older men and powerful men, including the royal family. You know the story. The royal family has to settle for tens of millions of pounds anyway. Mm-hmm. She writes here in her diary, yeah, of course Jeffrey Epstein had cameras, and of course it was a blackmail operation. I used to be watched by Epstein's hidden cameras, which I have seen myself. The FBI has the archive footage showing me being abused by other men, used as blackmail. This is her own hand in her own writing. The moment that Virginia Roberts was suicided, I knew something big was about to break. And now it has been confirmed by the New York Times, of all places, a look inside of Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan lair. His 7-story townhouse, the sex offender hosted the elite, displayed photos with presidents, and showcased the first edition of Lolita, according to previously unreported photos and letters. So the New York Times got their hands on letters and photos from Epstein. Let's go ahead and go through the breakdown here. The New York Times dropped bombshell on Epstein Mansion and photos. The entrance was lined with dozens of prosthetic eyeballs. A sculpture of a bride dangling from a rope hangs in the atrium. And it gets so much worse. Look at this. What the hell is this? Jeffrey Epstein hangs himself? Some bride hanging herself? Super creepy. The Wall of Power, Epstein's dining room credenza, was a shrine to his connections. Photos with the Pope, Mick Jagger, Fidel Castro, Bill Clinton, President Harvard, Larry Summers, Richard Branson, Steve Bannon, Bill Gates, Trump and Melinda Gates, and the Saudi crown prince. Plus a dollar sign signed by Bill Gates saying, "I was wrong." Remember, Bill Gates is, so you can see here, Hillary Clinton.
Even the Pope.
Here's a photo of Epstein and Hillary Clinton. Here's Fidel Castro right there. See Epstein. Pope. Goodness gracious. Here's a new one. Epstein and Bill Clinton. Look at these guys. Look at these two devils. Look at them. That's the guy who has so much to hide. That's the one. That's the one who they're actually protecting in all of this.
Mm-hmm. They were
We have
playing
Richard
like
Branson back
young.
here. Here's the Bill Gates photo. Then you have Steve Bannon and Donald Trump. Steve Bannon was filming a documentary with Jeffrey Epstein, I guess, is the way that the official story goes. I look forward to seeing that. It's very strange. I was wrong. Bill Gates, the $1 bill. Remember, Bill Gates' wife, Melinda Gates, says that it was his relationship with Epstein that destroyed their marriage. Here he is with a Saudi crown prince, and so on. Goodness gracious. The office had a first edition of Lolita on display in Epstein's wood-paneled office, a taxidermy tiger on the floor, and a green first edition of Vladimir's Lolita. As you know, this is a novel about an adult who repeatedly rapes a 12-year-old, just sitting there on display while he hosted dinners with world leaders. The taxidermy tiger, crazy. Here's the camera. There were cameras everywhere in all these photos. You can see cameras, surveillance cameras mounted above his bed. Photos show cameras clearly visible in the corners of Epstein's bedroom and adjoining room. His massage room was stocked with lubricants and paintings of naked women. This is where he directed teenage girls recruited from middle schools to massage him, according to court records. Steve Bannon filmed hours of interviews here in 2019. Epstein kept Bannon's selfies in multiple rooms. Epstein kept framed Bannon selfies in multiple rooms. That's interesting. What is that about? So here we go. Weird. But there's the cameras, right? There's obviously the cameras matching the Virginia Roberts letter. The 2016 birthday letters are insane. Woody Allen wrote, "The dinners reminded me of Dracula's castle, where young female vampires would serve the place." A collector of people, Mortimer Zuckerman, suggested a meal ingredient that would enhance Epstein's sexual performance. Noam Chomsky, and so on. Bottom line, it wasn't a mansion, it was a honeypot operation in plain sight. World leaders, tech millionaires, and celebrities all documented visiting convicted pedophiles layer. When will Bill Gates have to answer for the $1 bill that he gave to Jeffrey Epstein? Signed, "You were right." There's Woody Allen and Jeffrey Epstein. Asking for more answers. There it is, Epstein's lair, filled with cameras, including one above his bed. Incredible new details of his 7-story mansion. Goodness. So this is the article here in the New York Times. This is the sourcing. Where's the rest of the evidence? I mean, if they have all this, where's the rest of the evidence? As a gift for Jeffrey Epstein's 63rd birthday, friends sent letters and tributes to the wealthy financier and convicted sex offender. Several shared a common theme, recounting dinners and gatherings that Mr. Epstein regularly hosted at his palatial townhouse in Manhattan's Upper East Side. Ehud Barak, former Prime Minister of Israel, and his wife noted the great diversity of guests. "There's no limit to your curiosity," they wrote in a message. "You can pile with others. You are like a closed book to many of them, but you know everything about everyone." Media mogul Mort Zuckerman suggested ingredients for a meal that would enhance Jeffrey Epstein's sexual performance, and Woody Allen described it as Dracula's castle with young females serving everyone. Epstein's prized property was no gloomy Transylvania fortress. He spent years turning the 7-story, 21,000 square foot townhouse into a palace where he would flaunt and deepen his connection with rich and powerful. Hints of his dark side lured within. Mr. Epstein's death, federal custody, what happened to his fortune, where did it go, how did he get it in the first place. White House wants to release details. Hopefully that'll happen.